Hello everyone and welcome to Spoiler Warning featuring myself, Tom Colohue. Our headlines today are regarding primarily updates on returning figures to the WWE or figures that will not be returning anytime soon. Some of these you'll be very aware of already, but I do want to touch on it for people who maybe don't know fully. We'll be talking Randy Orton, Big E, Bray Wyatt, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, Ronda Rousey and Uncle Howdy. We're going to be talking Vince backstage at SmackDown and what he's bringing to the table at the moment. LA Knight and his use right now, the New Day, their particular position in the company at the moment and when we will see them next, the meeting that didn't happen between Triple H, Nick Khan and Vince McMahon, more on that because I finally have confirmation that it did not happen. CM Punk, his offers particularly as regards the upcoming pay-per-views including All In. So I also made a video in the members only section. I'll be touching on something I mentioned there as regards Sports Cuda and one Gary Cassidy. A little bit on McIntyre, Drew McIntyre's return there as well. Something on the shorts versus subs, so why I'm making so many shorts, why I'm making so many videos and how the channel's doing at the moment. Logan Paul and Ricochet, how we got there, plans for EO Sky before and potentially after the briefcase, Grayson Waller's future and the reported injury to Becky Lynch. So quite a lot to cover. As we get started, please do remember to hit the like button. There is plenty of you here already. There's 37 and only the 14 likes. Every like does help, so if you're able to, I would very much appreciate it. We'll get plenty of information coming in as we go. Plenty of people here already. Spider Boss is here. Wiggly's here as well. Bailey. Yes, we will be talking about the Becky Lynch news. That will be coming late on. On the YouTube side, we also have Brad, Joe, Sai, Steve, Robs, The Dark Society, Daz, Marcel, Carl of Turnbuckle Studios, Khalid, Ricky, Leon, Venom, Squid, Gomar, Dylan as well, and Carlos Colon Jr. Welcome everyone. Squid with the most important question of the day: how many cans of soda do you have left? I have so far drank 7. So of my 48, I have 41 left. So I've drank 7 in 4 days. I don't think that's too bad, especially when you consider that they are 0. So I don't think that's too bad. At the same time, it's not too good either. Welcome, Jordan Darlow. How are you doing, mate? As always, I will be answering as many of your questions as I can as well. Welcome, noob. But I also would like to basically make a suggestion, make a request. For those who do hit like, for those who've already subscribed, there is another thing you can do which would really significantly boost the overall growth of the channel. So what we're focusing on at the moment is the most successful at the moment growth opportunity on YouTube, and it is chat rate. Our growth recently has been largely down to chat rate. The reason we see so much of a massive boost of people at the beginning of a show is chat rate. We have a chat rate of 8 right now because we get 8 messages per minute. That's what we're getting at the moment from people dropping in and saying hi. There's a real simple, almost cheesy way to guarantee the growth of that chat rate and thus the growth of that channel, and that's to remember to say hi to each other. Little tiny simple things like that. If you know a couple of people, if you know each other, if you'd like to say hi to each other, just say hi to each other. A little simple message like that, saying hi to people you recognise, literally guarantees more growth for this channel. Thoroughly ridiculous thing. Hogan, welcome, says chatting for the algorithm. Absolutely fair. John dropping an evening all. Thank you very much, Daz. Appreciate that. Welcome, Airwolf. Welcome, Coot for free. No, not at the moment. My SummerSlam predictions have not changed. Welcome, pardon me, Everyday Chungles. Good to see so many of you already. Spider-Boss says in news that just Mercedes money fans will like. Cool. Sean says, hello Tom, how was your Monday? Very good, thank you. Had a nice, relaxed one. Welcome Kevin, hello to you as well. Peach says you need some cherry prime, hope your meal and weekend was great. Ended up being a massive thunderstorm, so we didn't have a meal, but it was bloody lovely regardless. Ricky is saying, hey everyone. Brad saying, hope you're all doing great. Justin specifically saying hi to Sai, as indeed is Joe. Thank you very much everyone. I can already see the chat rate going up to 11. 59 people in here, 27 likes already. Simple little things, and this is something I think is worth remembering for many of you who are potentially streaming your own stuff. It's a wonderful little thing. Steve, I can see you in the chat, for example. A silly little thing that will really get chat flowing is just making sure people are having chats amongst themselves. You may have noticed me experimenting with that in your channel quite recently, just to see how that goes. Carl doing much the same, saying hello all. Welcome to so many of you. Dylan says, between Roman and Jay, who do you want to win and who do you think will win? Jay, Roman. Hogan says, I've actually seen people just saying algorithm in the comment sections of certain videos. That's certainly a way to do it. It does guarantee greater viewership. Absolutely guarantees it. Silly little thing. Silly little thing, but a big help. Dark Society says, Tom, are you ready for SummerSlam? Not quite. Not quite. There's still plenty more to go on there. I'm still waiting to see what happens with the Tag Team Championships. That's a big one for me. But quite excited overall, yes. Wiggly says, Prime's rubbish. Cool. Also suggests to go get coconut water. As a man who is allergic to coconut, I cannot do that. Just so everyone is aware, for those who don't already know, yes, I am indeed allergic to coconut. Spider-Boss asking about Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I've already posted my video of my predictions. We'll see what happens there. Sean says, according to Ringside News and Fightful, so according to Fightful is what you mean, Becky Lynch is injured. We will be discussing that at some point soon. 41 Cherry Coke, Steve. 41 out of 48. Not bad, not bad. Marcel saying hi to everyone as well. Carl saying hello all. Khalid says, I'm glad as always to be here, mate. Thank you kindly. Well, putting over Steve, which is always a good thing. Peter cannot spell algorithm. Fantastic. I mean, you definitely did not spell it right there. Welcome, mate. That's correct, Wiggly. I can't have coconut. I always read the back of things for that purpose. I don't drink Prime. I've had a sip. It was awful. Spider-Boss says, it's funny how many people in USA wrestling media get angry and will put you over with the wrestling news. Very true. Many of you, unfortunately, have already experienced that. And it's not at all a surprise to me that the person you mentioned earlier would unblock you to attack you. That's sort of their move, as many of you are aware. Welcome, Michael. How are you? Says hi, Tom, as well. So, those headlines, for those who weren't in right at the start. We are doing a rundown of intended returns and intended vanishes. So we have Randy Orton, Big E, Bray Wyatt, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, Ronda Rousey and Uncle Howdy updates to provide. We are talking about Vince's status with the company and what he was doing on SmackDown. We have an update on the situation with LA Knight, the New Day, and plans for them upon their return and when that might be. The meeting that did not take place between Triple H, Nick Khan and Vince McMahon. CM Punk situation, the pitches that he is making when it comes to incoming All In. My chat rate has just reached 24, guys, which is literally 24 messages per minute. 26, I stand corrected. Thank you. Thank you. That is exactly what I was looking for. I very much appreciate all of you. A little bit as regards the video I put in the members only section, not all of the information, certainly. We will be talking a little bit about a report I made on Drew McIntyre, how that relates to why I left Sportskeeda, and who in many ways was responsible for me wanting to leave. Shorts versus subs, the results that we're getting at the channel at the moment. Logan Paul versus Ricochet, plans for Io Sky, Grayson Waller plans, and the Becky Lynch injury. I was late to the day on that one because it took me a long time to get a second source. So that will be the news that we cover today. Mick says, feed the algo. Hi, Tom. Hope you're fine. Doing well. Thank you, mate. Joe loved the Logan Paul short. That hit like more than 600 views. That came out of nowhere. Khalid says, finally, Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy news. Razar says, Cedar for spoiler warning. You're my number one news source. Always reliable. You never pretend to know things. You don't. Always honest. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Razar. It's a very kind thing to say. I appreciate you. Spider-Boss says, I think Bray Wyatt has done damage to Alexa Bliss's career. Alexa Bliss would disagree. Brad says, Tom needs the best chat rate of all time. 26 is a record for the channel. It is a record for the channel. Okay. Sean, nothing on Johnny Gargano. Thank you, Spider-Boss. Also talking about the short on Logan Paul. Wiggly says, in another piece of news, I just bought myself and we're moving on from there. Dad says, I loved the video yesterday, Tom. Thank you, Dad. A lot of people seem to really quite enjoy that one. So, starting with Randy Orton, because you know a lot of people have asked about that. I've constantly been referring people to the video in February. The update is relatively simple and relatively plain. Randy Orton has still not been cleared to wrestle. However, the WWE at this point have been having regular conversations with Randy Orton about a return. They are fully aware that he is interested and eager, and the intention is to pitch him a number of creative options that may, one, convince him to make sure he comes back, and two, make sure that he is ready to hit the ground running when he does. Drew McIntyre working with Matt Riddle is believed to be one of those potential creative pitches, and a certain suggestion towards Randy Orton of where he will land when he returns. To my knowledge, when Randy Orton does return, it will be for Monday Night Raw, and it will be at least briefly as a face. Long term, Randy Orton is believed to be more likely as a heel to further develop people a little lower down the card. They do want to ensure that Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins happens again, but also Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes is a match that the WWE is very eager to have, and so too is Randy Orton. Big E also not cleared, but nearing a return. Once again, there is talk of creative pitches, though they are not at this point bringing him anything on the table or making anything happen. The WWE, by and large, have told Big E, take your time, do not rush yourself. Big E is believed to want a at least brief feud with Sheamus, which would pair the New Day against the Brawling Brutes to ensure that he has another match against Ridge Holland. Big E essentially really wants to make sure that nobody blames Ridge Holland, and he wants to make sure he can have a match and shake the man's hand, which I think is immensely noble and very, very cool. I don't say cool a lot because as a 35-year-old man, I'm not cool, but that would be cool. Bray Wyatt. I gave an update on Shorts and on TikTok yesterday. I'm going to follow up on that because the situation with Bray Wyatt is relatively straightforward. He has pitched a number of different ideas, and we are finally getting to a point with a new writer working with him and Alexa Bliss fully separated, where a plan is starting to come together. The issue, as much as anything, is that there is a lack of faith in Bray Wyatt at the moment because of the lack of a return they got the last time he was featured. Endeavour are not directly involved in this, but Vince McMahon and Nick Khan do not particularly see eye to eye on the use of Bray Wyatt. Triple H in particular, now that he is guaranteed a contract which contains quite a bit of creative control, let's just say more people backstage in WWE are not particularly happy that that contract now exists. This is causing some issues when it comes to Bray Wyatt, but they do believe that they now have a grip and can make something happen for Bray. Alexa Bliss is currently out with a pregnancy. The WWE have not set any end date. She has indicated, according to several sources in the WWE, that she wishes to return. However, the WWE are planning to write storylines that are in preparation, essentially, in case she does not return. The WWE do believe that Alexa Bliss may get and agree to better offers than the WWE can give her, so she may not return in roughly a year when they would expect her to be available. She may take more time, she may get offers from Hollywood. The WWE have been confident for a long time that Alexa Bliss will be getting some pretty big offers, and I would not be surprised to see that. Plenty more still to come. I'm just going to catch up with the chat just in case. Hector says, Tom, when do you expect us to see Logan Paul again? Possibly the Rumble, then Mania to follow. Logan Paul will feature on tonight's WWE Raw to build up to a match against Ricochet. I reported previously that Logan Paul was requesting a match with Ricochet. I reported this on the spoiler warning for the day when he arrived, returned, and essentially got involved with the Money in the Bank ladder match. The match planned was against Ricochet, and that's where they were headed. There was talk of a match against John Cena. There was never talk of a match against LA Knight. Logan Paul wanted Ricochet. The WWE were very happy to do that, and Ricochet was thrilled to have that too. Peach says Prime is now out in IV drip only. King Azo welcome, says, hey Tom, do you think CM Punk will win the AEW Championship? I think forever is a long time and he'll definitely come back to it. Thank you, Peter. Appreciate that. Thank you, Daz. Khalid says, Tom, I watched the Logan Paul video on your TikTok app. I appreciate that. TikTok is doing relatively well at the moment. We're getting several hundred views on each individual video, which is a very good number. Plus occasionally a 15,000er, which is also quite nice. I was able to essentially reach a new audience. And because of stuff like the Logan Paul video, TikTok is not really focused on followers or subscribers in the same way that YouTube is, which means essentially I can post whatever I want there, and if it's not wrestling related, you guys won't see it because you are looking for wrestling related content. It's weird. Andy says, hello Tom, I'm watching from the beginning. Thank you kindly, Andy, I appreciate that. Welcome to the show. LF says, hi everyone, hit the thumbs up, help Tom out. Thank you, LF, appreciate that. We have just hit 100 views. We have 69 people here, which is nice, and 37 likes. Please do remember to hit that thumbs up as you join the show. Spiderboss says, Randy Orton as a heel means no more RK Bro, but initially it means more RK Bro. Bailey says, here's a question. With WWE performers living all over, how does one get cleared? By their own personal doctors or flying to a central WWE location for treatment or diagnosis? There is a process. You can get cleared by a WWE sanctioned doctor, but they do need clearance for head injuries from certain internal WWE staff, which means they will fly you to a WWE medical facility or just take you to the performance center. The vast majority of the time, depending on the nature of the injury, you can be cleared by your personal or local doctor. Sean says, did you see that LA Knight beating up Hit Row got more viewers and likes on WWE Twitter over the Tribal Court segment? Yes, I did. I will be discussing LA Knight shortly. Stephen Harris says, WWE Summerslam has only got 6 matches on the card. So far, yes. Pardon me. Carl says, as a 41-year-old man, I'm just chill, not cool anymore. Fair. That's the way. That's the way. Zane, welcome. Says, did you turn over the TV if someone is on you don't like? I don't care. I do. I turn over the TV when the New Day are on. I'm not a fan of them. No, because most of the time when I'm watching, I am also live on stream. So, Gilly says, if Bray Wyatt comes back, will he still be with Uncle Howdy? Uncle Howdy is one of the names left to discuss. Razar says, the Bloodline have been going over on time a lot lately, mostly affecting the women as a result. Is Triple H not as strict on time? Because I don't remember this happening when Vince was running things. It happened all the time when Vince was running things. The news just didn't get out about it. Happened all the time. Steven says, Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso, going to be a good match at SummerSlam. Solo is going to interfere and help cost Jey Uso his title. Probably yes. Ricky says, I don't see Bliss coming back. I see her going to Hollywood. Peter Robert, welcome, says, hey Tom, is Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes happening at WrestleMania 40? We're nowhere close to WrestleMania 40 yet. I personally find it unlikely. Wiggly says, I know we discussed already, but have you heard anything at all for AEW's plans for London? So essentially their plan is to put on a pay-per-view in Wembley. It's sold out more than 75,000 tickets so far, which is pretty good going, and what they'll be doing there is putting on wrestling matches. Ken says, I keep the TV on when Tyler Bate is on. You make mistakes. Spider-Boss says, I wonder what happened with Austin Theory. His USA title reign lost momentum after WrestleMania 39. Essentially, because they moved him over to SmackDown, there were plans for the people involved there. One of the names being mentioned was Braun Strowman, who is currently injured. Wiggly says, Eric Bischoff is speculating Sting is going to have his retirement match at Wembley. Surely they would want to hype this up. Surely they would. Richard says, hello Tom and all. Hope you all had a great day. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. Dark Society says, Randy Orton is so good as a heel. Joe says, Tom, what will happen with John Cena? Nothing. Nothing will happen with John Cena. Dylan says, Tom, given the allegations Logan Paul is currently going through, do you think he will still have a match at SummerSlam? What allegations are those? I've already reported that there has been a request to investigate Prime by Chuck Schumer. There is no investigation currently active. Joe says, when do you think we'll see The Rock again? Whenever you tune into a movie featuring The Rock in the WWE, I don't really think we will. Daz says, the Owen Hart Cup is this week, Tom. Ricky Starks versus Punk final on Saturday. Cool. King Other says, hey Tom, what is Roman's schedule from SummerSlam to WrestleMania? SummerSlam to WrestleMania, essentially, if you look at my Friday video, I discuss it in more depth, but I see a break coming. He will be featuring at WrestleMania, naturally. Steven says, WWE don't want to do it at SummerSlam with Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. Yes, because there is more than one championship that would be defended now. That match wouldn't happen. Aaron says, hi Tom. Hello, Aaron. Peter says, the WWE facility near Langley. Area WWE, I tell you. Sean says, I see Alexa coming back. There's things she can still accomplish. Stuart Ridley, welcome. Says, evening, Tom. Got here late, so saying hello and popping back to the start. Thank you very much for joining us, Stuart. Please do enjoy the show, and thank you very much for letting me know. LF says, hopefully Randy will face Roman at some point, considering the beatdown Randy and Riddle got just before Randy left. They've only had one match one-on-one, which is SummerSlam 2014, which is crazy. No, that was Seth. Fair enough. Spider-Boss says, things that always happen in Roman's matches, ref bumps and outside interference, I love to see it. And says, is LA Knight the new Rusev Day? Yes, but Rusev Day was also pretty effective. Gomar says, are there going to be more title defenses from Roman aside from SummerSlam this year? It depends if Roman is a champion by the end of it. Richard says, Tom, do you know if Becky's injury is serious or minor? That is one of our headlines I will be discussing soon. Trekkerpedia says, is Karrion Kross injured badly? No. Zane says, Paul White said in an interview he'll be wrestling at Wembley. Are you happy to see Paul White wrestle? I mean, considering how far away my seats are, yes, because I'll at least be able to see him. Not sure I'll be able to see too many others. Back to talk about return schedules. Carmella is apparently planning to return after she has had her child. We'll see what happens and when, because the WWE once again are not planning to push anyone who is actively pregnant to return on any schedule but their own. Now, this has worked in the favour of some, Becky Lynch, but has worked against others, for example, Lacey Evans. But the WWE did request a return for Becky Lynch at that time, based on the absence of Sasha Banks. As regards Carmella, she would be returning before Alexa Bliss, and the WWE are much more confident that they will be seeing her returning when they are essentially expecting her to. They do not expect at this point that Carmella would be fielding other opportunities and options. Ronda Rousey has been told that the door is open after she leaves at SummerSlam. She may return pretty much whenever she would like. The WWE have laid out quite a bit of different offers, as it were, but quite a lot of money is on the table. Triple H and Nick Khan have had discussions about how best to present this and make a deal which does not give her the creative control to the degree that she's been exercising recently. As I've been reporting, this has frustrated Triple H on a number of times, and he's looking to make a change to that contract if she should return. This, I believe, is one of the many reasons why she is choosing to leave when she is. And finally, in this segment, Uncle Howdy. Bray Wyatt is indeed writing more for Uncle Howdy, and of course writing more for Bo Dallas. So I would expect that upon Bray Wyatt's return, Uncle Howdy will be returning with him. They are still at the moment struggling to find people for him to work with. Bobby Lashley is not believed to be particularly enamoured of it. However, there are a number of options for people slightly lower down the card. You're going to love this one. Logan Paul's name has come up. I'm going to let that sink in for a moment. Can I get a reaction from the chat? Do you want to see Bray Wyatt versus Logan Paul? Hector says, alright Tom, in your opinion, how has Jay White's AEW run been for you so far? I've not watched much of his run so far, but I've watched occasional matches. I think he's doing okay now that he's linked to a bit more directly with FTR and CM Punk. He's certainly being treated like a big deal, and ultimately when you just start in a new company, that's a pretty good spot to be in. Lissa, after SummerSlam, my expectation is that we will see Cody Rhodes starting to line up against Seth, though Gunter may well be in his way. Venom, yes, I do believe Ciampa beats Miz. Spider-Boss says the women's division of SmackDown had a short time, but all women looked great. I agree that they did. Peter says, what's Roman Reigns' status for WWE Payback 2023? It is unlikely that we will see him, but a lot does depend on whether or not he loses that championship. Wiggly says, random question, do you play any sports, Tom? If so, what do you play? I've been known to play a little bit of soccer. Spider-Boss says, I think as long as Triple H is head of creative, I think Ronda will not return anytime soon. They are not on bad terms, though there is some frustration over the contract. Spider-Boss says, FTR versus Bullet Club Gold on Collision was really awesome. Really awesome. We have some reaction, and it's not the most positive. Ricky Fawn says, what, Logan Paul? No, I don't. Brad Becker says, if he beats him, which at the moment, Logan Paul's about to come out of SummerSlam with a win, he does seem pretty happy to lose when it comes to big opponents. Errol says no thanks to Bray Wyatt versus Logan Paul. Dad says Bray will beat Logan Paul. Backwards, welcome, says Logan Paul versus Bray Wyatt. Hell yeah, why not? Gomar says Logan versus Bray sounds interesting. Noob says Logan Paul versus Bray Wyatt. No, absolutely not. Dylan says no God, please God, no. Joe says yes, I just want to see Logan Paul get destroyed. I'm not really a big fan of Logan Paul. Khalid says Bray Wyatt versus Logan Paul. If Bray wins, yes. Wiggly asking what position I play when it comes to football. Historically, I play right back, though I occasionally have been pushed up to the right wing. Moxie says, yo Tom, welcome Moxie. And Spider-Boss says, I think Logan Paul versus Bray Wyatt would be interesting. I wholeheartedly agree on that one. Kevin says, Logan versus Bray, the loser leaves town match, could be interesting. Peter says, please don't say soccer, it's footy. Look at that chat, Ray. King Asa says, hey Tom, what would the reaction be if Brock beats Cody at SummerSlam? Boo. This Cody guy sucks. Etc. Trekipedia, welcome, says, hopefully Cross is okay. They said his leg was hurt. To my knowledge, there is no serious injury at this point in time. It is just precautionary that they will be taking him slightly off TV, but he's barely on TV anyway. Brad says, Bray beating Logan. So he says, I'm more left-wing. Well, we know historically, politically, I'm left-wing. Joey says, what is wrong with YouTube chat? I don't know, mate. What are you experiencing? Tell me more. Jungle says, Logan Paul versus Bray will definitely be something. It'll be something. Guarantee. Backwards says, then again, their feud will be stretched to about a year. Yeah, but here's the thing. Bray Wyatt and Logan Paul could genuinely make some magic together. If they just sat them down and worked together, I think they do pretty well. Joey says, anyways, what did I miss, Tom? I joined late. We have broken down return plans, a small update for Randy Orton, Big E, Bray Wyatt, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, Ronda Rousey, and Uncle Howdy. If you haven't already, by all means, skip on back and see how that goes, because there is plenty in there, though it's not something that you won't already have seen in some of the shorts and seeing in future for more. Richard says, can't see Logan versus Paul. It wouldn't be good. Bray's match since returning has been mediocre at best. To be fair, he's had one. Ezzy World, welcome, says, Brock and Cody matches have all been horrible. I would not go that far. Gotcha, Joey, thank you. And says, and also, what is this Logan Paul and Bray Wyatt match that I'm hearing? What you're hearing is from me. So I'm talking about the possibility of a Logan Paul versus Bray Wyatt match. And funnily enough, chat rate has gone up a lot, and we've gained another 12 viewers. But seriously, there is talk of this as a possibility. There is talk of Bray Wyatt versus Logan Paul, because Logan Paul is one of few people at the moment who are eager to work with him. Spider-Boss says, who do you think will beat Toni Storm for the AEW Women's title? Not sure, though I do feel Sarray is an obvious choice. Jordan says, Bray versus Logan in a Firefly Funhouse match, sponsored by Prime. Khalid says, imagine Uncle Howdy taking out Jake Paul. Joey says, is this a SummerSlam pitched match? No. The SummerSlam match is going to be Logan Paul versus Ricochet, as I previously reported. That will be set up tonight. You know the deal, says Ryback calling out a match versus Goldberg. Right up Vince's booking alley? No, not even slightly. Vince McMahon is not even slightly interested. Welcome, you know the deal. Coup43 says, who do you think is a mystery opponent for Blood and Guts for both teams? I don't believe that decision has actually been made yet, which is interesting. Temple Plays, you alright, mate? Says, Randy Orton return is very likely coming from the news I just read about his injury being as worse as it was. I've been updating on Randy Orton since February. The video that I put out in February has actually been not so much sourced as repeated by a number of paywalls in the last 2 months, so I did just want to add a little bit more as I had it. Venom says, do you think we could get Brock versus Bray? Both of those men have been trying to make that match happen for a very, very long time. Spider-Boss says, is Liv and Raquel versus Sonya and Chelsea Green a one-off? Well, there might be more in the future, but it's not a long-term feud. Backward says, I could see Bray Wyatt versus Logan Paul happening at WrestleMania 40. And Sean says, WWE just announced Seth Rollins versus Dominic Mysterio will be taking place again tonight. It does seem pretty set that Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor will be happening again at SummerSlam. Dylan says, Tom, when Jay beats Roman, I'll scream with joy. It started with him and will end when he finally beats Roman. Carl says, updates since February on Orton make me sad. I would welcome an Orton return sooner rather than later. Joey says, Boozer is reporting DIY's unlikely to have a tag match at SummerSlam. Yeah, because there's been absolutely no build towards it. Or the tag team. So, yeah, seems fair. Moxie says, it's crazy because Bray's had one match since October. Yep. Very much crazy. A little thing on this as we're talking Bray Wyatt. We have lost someone from the chat, and this is a choice that I made to essentially shut off any messages that they send and send them a message saying, you're done. Very clearly making it very obvious to them that they are done here. That user is Adam Mendez. If you're here, Adam, I'm not going to apologise. I went back through the comments of my YouTube videos and I counted at least 14 different occasions when you asked some variation of, is Vince going to fire Bray? Is Vince going to fire Bray? Is Vince going to fire Bray? I'm not going to do it 14 times. It's annoying. You were warned more than 3 times. I was more than generous. You're done here. I just want to give a warning to many people who also do a lot of repeats. Venom, it's been fun, but I'm calling it now, mate. The Raw Watch Along thing, that's over. Until at least the time I next do one, that's over. Okay? The constant repetition, I worry it's starting to annoy a lot of people in this chat. I can see tension rising for a couple of people. And it's important that all of us work together on this one. So, Adam Mendez is no longer a part of this channel. He may choose to watch the videos. He will not be engaging at any point. Just wanted to make that very clear. LF says, I don't want to see Bray face anyone. He ruins the momentum they have. LA Knight is the only one who survived. I think he actually was helped, to be honest. Joey says, is Johnny still injured though? Not to my knowledge. I believe he's been cleared. They are working towards his return, though he may have picked up a different injury to add to the one he already had. Welcome, BM. How you doing? Temple says, keep up the great work, mate. Been a while. Any news on Mercedes money? No, not at this point. She has been in discussions with Tony Khan to make AEW appearances. I suspect that will happen well before the end of the year. Yes, Wiggly, I counted 14 times on videos, not lives. Not lives. Spider-Boss says, does Dominic's push mean titles or just top-level feuds? Bit of both. I do suspect we're going to see a championship before the season is out for Dominic Mysterio. Khalid says, that is madness. Peter says, I better watch out. Been repeating about Randy too much. My bad. There is a point at which it's fun and a point at which it's not. When I tell you it's not, that's the point at which it's not. I'll give warnings. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to give the benefit of the doubt. But there is a point at which you are purely taking the piss. And that's the point at which I'm getting rid of you. Rodney, welcome, says, I want to see Logan Paul versus Pat McAfee. That could be fun. Hector says, Tom, what did you think of the recent booking decision of having Ronda and Shayna beat Alba and Isla? Just have them turn around and lose. I get why they did it, but how do you explain it to the casual fans? You kind of don't. You kind of don't. It would have been much easier to have the match between Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler at Money in the Bank and then have the unification. But that's not how Triple H likes to operate, it seems. You know the deal, says, good job, mate. Chat should be a safe place for everyone. As always, appreciate your stance on fact over fiction. Thank you, appreciate that. That is what we at least attempt to do here. There is occasionally reports that come in that I read out that I probably shouldn't, and I try and clarify that as best I can, but I do what I can. Carl says, can I still plug you doing Friday watch-alongs on our channel? Are they still happening? Yes, absolutely. And I've certainly recommended that people pop over to Turnbuckle Talk and to OLE when it comes to the Monday night watch parties. I've certainly recommended that. By all means, we can keep that relationship going because I'm very happy to do anything involving OLE, except Monday Night Raw watch parties. Dane says, I want to see Paul White versus Hornswoggle at Wembley. Okay, I'll see one of them. Sean says, actor Stephen Amell announced on his Facebook he'll be at Raw next week. My guess is to promote season 2 of Heels. Could also get involved with Cody since they are friends. And Wiggly also says, serious point though, has Logan Paul really boosted WWE's fan base? Yes. Michael says, if there's one thing I'll give Logan Paul, he actually wants to be there. He very clearly does. I also have to give him credit because he's had very enjoyable matches. I've genuinely quite enjoyed his work. Backwards says, I can't wait till we get Gunter versus Randy Orton. Oh, Randy Orton versus Gunter. Richard says, can't wait for Mercedes versus Julia. Match for the Strong Women's Championship. That will be epic. LF says, at SummerSlam, do you see Roman versus Jay having a gimmick like Hell in a Cell or Last Man Standing? No. I would like to see a wrestling match. Dylan says, Tom, do you see LA Knight potentially getting a world title in the future? More on that shortly. Lucha Libre Memes is here, says Mr. Tom, how are you? Doing very well, Lucha Libre Memes, thank you. King Rail has joined us, says hit the like everyone, thank you to everyone who's already done so. Hector says, Tom, have you heard any update on Dakota Kai's injury? I know she's been streaming lately and hope to see her back soon. You will be seeing her back relatively soon, though I do feel it'll be closer to the end of the year. Andrew says, hello Tom, it's been a while obviously. Had a tough couple of weeks and I haven't had a great day, but I'm looking forward to see what surprises WWE have for SummerSlam in a couple of weeks. Welcome Andrew, it's nice to see you mate. If you do want to talk about it, by all means reach out. Obviously not in the chat right now, but you're obviously welcome to do so. I hope things start to improve for you. Spider-Boss says, what surprised me more about Dominic's push is he hasn't had a mid-card feud. He's faced the very best in WWE. Yes, he has. Temple says, last question before I set up my Raw watch-along, which, to be fair, is like 2.5 hours away, mate. Calm down. What do you think WWE do with Big E when he comes back? That is actually one of the earliest talking points we had. It is the second piece of news I shared. If you want to zip back to maybe I think it's about 5 minutes into the show, just rewind it. Everything I know is right there. Ken says, do you watch Ring of Honor? I do not. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to watch too much. And Joey says, it seems like LA Knight might be turning face since he fought Hit Row on the pre-show. Steve Emblem, welcome, says, thoughts on wrestlers arguing with fans on social media. A lot of hostility on Twitter these days. Absolutely, there's a lot of hostility. I think, unfortunately, a lot of wrestlers have been dealing with a whole lot of crap. And I'm really, really happy to see a bit of pushback because they deserve to be able to defend themselves. Hogan says, if they decide to book it, would WWE book insert match here? Oof. Strong words, mate. Strong words. You're asking the big ones here. We started this show on 2,508 subscribers. I was going to at this point say, can we get to 2,510? We're on 2,512. Thank you to the 4 people who've already hit subscribe. We have also just reached a new level of likes, 55 likes, and we are only 17 views away from 200 views. We have 82 people here and counting. Thank you everyone for so much chat, so many likes, so many subscriptions. Thank you all for continuing the growth of this channel. You guys are making this happen. Plenty of news still to come. Jordan says, unpopular opinion, but Logan has put on better matches than a lot of talent on the main roster. Fair play to the guy, you can't knock his commitment, which is absolutely fair. Peter says, if fans left the stars alone and were polite when asking for autographs, what do they expect? Also very, very fair. Backwards says, I honestly wouldn't mind if Logan Paul wins a world title because the world would lose their minds. It would be quite funny. Jaden, welcome, mate. Says, hey, Tom, sorry that I'm late. Did I miss anything? A little bit, Jaden. Nothing on your personal faves, so I wouldn't worry too much about rewinding. Unless I think Carmella may be someone you'd be interested in as well. That was mentioned about 20 minutes in, I think it was. But I've been given a return update on a number of different people. There's plenty more to come. Mustafa says, your likes did a jump after the Adam block. I didn't block him during that. I basically was just... I think that most of the jump in likes is because of the Logan Paul versus Bray Wyatt discussion, which boosted the chat rate, got some new people in. Spider-Boss says, Finn Balor versus Damian Priest of Rhea, a special referee. Book it, Triple H. Vince McMahon is our next piece of news. He was indeed in attendance for WWE SmackDown at the Madison Square Garden. He was not believed to be particularly involved in the scripting. And essentially, he was there to watch the show and kind of be a tourist. He was kind of a tourist and just visiting. Now, for those who aren't already aware, Triple H writes the script. Vince McMahon then confirms the script and changes anything he would like to change. He did have some suggestions for the Bloodline. Outside of that, most of the show was a bit of a hasty rewrite, which Vince McMahon kept himself well clear of. Vince McMahon is still involved in the clearing and the altering of scripts. To my knowledge, based on what people have been telling me, at most he alters maybe 10%, having learned his lesson from the Raw after WrestleMania. It's not often I'm able to say the phrase, Vince has learned his lesson, but that's certainly a suggestion that I've been hearing. King Rail says, I love Seth, but him being the champ is boring. Sorry to hear that, mate. Sorry to hear you're not the biggest fan of it. I don't think it'll last too long. I really don't. I do think there's a very strong possibility that Gunther is a champion sooner rather than later. Moxie, as I say that, says I'd like to see Gunther versus Damian Priest. Michael says, I love how every Monday and Friday there are the Vinces at the Arena reports. Yeah, there are, aren't they? Even just on the basis of the Vinces at the Arena reports, you can tell who's actually seriously capable of doing this job and who is taking the piss. I will be talking a little bit later, by the way, about why I left Sportskeeda way back when, and who may or may not have had plenty of blame to carry. The name Gary Cassidy is going to come up. Hector says, Tom, do you know if there are any news on whether we'll see a split of the tag titles anytime soon or no? They are making this up as they go along. So when it comes to the tag team championships, they're genuinely not sure. Gomar says, I still love that PWInsider reported Carlito would return to SmackDown last week, but it didn't happen, and they haven't addressed it nor said what happened. What I'd like you to do, Gomar, this may be of interest to you. By the way, I've been checking out some of your YouTube channel, and I'm not entirely sure if I'm speaking to Gomar right now, because I think you may be promoting a different YouTube channel in the Discord. Anyway, I've subscribed to it. So, yeah. What I'd like you to do is find the report from PWInsider stating that. Because here's a fun thing. Certain news outlets, I'm not going to name any names, have a history of when a report is proven false, deleting that report. So the aggregators who are sourcing from that information, the links go dead. I always like to double check. Joey says, why isn't Bobby Lashley on the SummerSlam card? They were trying to make it work with him and Bray. It hasn't, so they moved on and tried to write him something new. There's a number of people who aren't going to be being pushed until after SummerSlam. Bobby Lashley seems to be one of them. Another one, by the way, is LA Knight, and the WWE know exactly what they are doing by plugging heavily the video on YouTube of him working with Hit Row. The WWE, to my knowledge, have actually been promoting that video using YouTube's internal system to try and guarantee views. The intention is basically the WWE and Triple H saying, hey, don't worry, we got this. We know what we've got. He's going to get the shot. A push is coming for LA Knight. Triple H is looking to turn him face and is experimenting with the live crowd to see what reaction he will get as a face if he's able to essentially keep that interest going. So far, so good. And with a lot of people talking about LA Knight, I may put that one into a video tomorrow and just have a little bit more information because I know a lot of people are very, very interested in it. A push is coming for LA Knight. Backwards says, I'm all on board for Gunther becoming world champion. Spider-Boss says, Fightful usually come up with the reports about Vince being at the arena during Raw and SmackDown. As I do not have Fightful Select, I cannot confirm or deny that. Venom says, shame if they end Walter's reign before he breaks the record. It is so close to doing so. Personally, I don't think the WWE should break every single record this soon, because then records start to become unbreakable. This belt is unbreakable. Thank you, Joe. Kevin says, give me Gunther versus Finn for the World Heavyweight Championship and let them work. Dad says, what's your favourite Mania so far, Tom? Personally, my favourite is 34. 34 is my personal favourite, though there have been some very good ones recently. Gordy, how you doing, mate? Says, I was watching the Usos interview with Ariel Helwani recently. Jimmy Uso mentioned that Trinity is open for a WWE return. I've been pretty open about this in the past. There is definitely a lot more interest from Trinity about returning to the WWE than Mercedes Money, though I do think they just haven't made the offer that would appeal to her as of yet. Got it, Gomar. Appreciate that. Lucha says, as long as Logan Paul beats Bray, I'm all for it. Rodney says, who would you like to see wrestle Edge for his last match? Someone who can benefit long term. Personally, I think someone relatively young. Damian Priest would have been the one. Dominic Mysterio would also be perfect. Absolutely perfect. I'd go for it. Hector says, have LA Knight beat Austin Theory for the US title? Not an impossibility. And Sean says, LA Knight working with Hit Row is a 1.1 million on YouTube. Pretty good number. Rizal, there is an internal advertising system on YouTube where you can essentially pick a video, spend some money, and push it to the top. Everyone has access to it. You have access to it. I don't know if you can actually push other people's videos, because the system certainly seems to suggest that you can. But I've occasionally used it to advertise some of my videos, just to get the word out. No worries, Venom. Just understand that you have received a warning at this point, that is the plan. This isn't like an aggressive warning or anything like that. It's just a heads up. I have cracked down on someone, and I will be cracking down on you if you don't calm down with it. It's just, I'm drawing a line here and saying it's gone too far. Lucha Libre says that all of Logan Paul's matches have been better than Bray's Royal Rumble match. Let that sink in. Brad just says, Solo. Coot says, have they kept Austin Theory's reign so long just to beat Dean Ambrose's record? Nope, they've mostly done it because they don't see credible threats to his championship. Spider-Boss says, I remember Meltzer got shutted up after Mercedes denied the report about her deal with New Japan ending on April 30th. Yeah, it's very good to see the wrestlers pushing back. Very good. Brad says Solo versus Edge, and Edge gives Solo the push. Ah, right, gotcha, Brad. Not a bad shout. Not a bad shout at all. Joey says there's a plan to do Sheamus versus Theory again. Seems to be at the moment, yes, that seems to be what they're building towards. The New Day's Kofi Kingston is approaching a return. Xavier Woods is also a bit knocked up and a bit banged up, but both men are looking likely to return at some point relatively soon. There is talk about after SummerSlam having them come back purely as speakers, purely essentially to help build opponents and build feuds and not necessarily immediately going into wrestling, but we are going to see them return as a tag team and work with a number of different people. They're looking to work with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, so I suspect the New Day may make an appearance on Raw. I personally think this is going to be a very, very fun combination, a very, very fun feud, and the WWE believe it is one of their biggest money feuds in the tag division as we speak. The WWE, particularly Triple H, is very excited to have the New Day back and to push them very hard when they do return. Joey says, what do you think they do with Edge at SummerSlam? Bobby Lashley for me is the most sensible option. I'd absolutely be doing that. Lucha Libre says, I remember the reports about Edge coming back to help talent get over, but he's always the one going over. Spider-Boss says, since WWE doesn't see any credible opponents for Austin Theory's USA title reign, WWE could do a triple threat with Theory versus Sheamus versus Lashley. They could. Sean says, if New Day work as Sami and Kevin, I wonder if they will call him Big O. They could. I suspect we may also see, upon Big E's return, a combination of Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes versus the New Day. Hector says, if Seth does have a short title reign, what could you see him doing going forwards? Seth versus Gunter could be fun. I see Seth versus Gunter, and I potentially see Seth versus Dominic at next year's WrestleMania. The meeting that wasn't. I can at this point confirm the reports about a meeting between Triple H, Nick Khan and Vince McMahon to try and stop Vince McMahon from changing the scripts did not happen. Triple H and Nick Khan are both fully aware that any script changes are completely at Vince McMahon's discretion. There is absolutely nothing they can or will do to stop him, and in fact there have been a number of occasions where wrestlers and management are happy with the changes that Vince McMahon has made. Vince McMahon certainly enforced the Money in the Bank winners this year. There was talk of LA Knight potentially being up there and Becky Lynch being up there. Triple H was writing scripts which did lean in that direction. Vince McMahon ensured that the ones who did win the briefcases were ones that he wanted to see pushed. I discussed Damian Priest. I discussed how Finn Balor might lose out as a result of it. And I certainly mentioned Io Sky as well. Will says it's sad that it takes the Usos to confirm your report on Naomi being open to return to WWE, and you said that half a year ago. Yeah. That's where we are. For anyone who's not subscribed to the channel yet, or has not hit like, by all means hit like and consider the fact that this is far from the only thing that I've had confirmed true over the past few weeks. I want to make a thread on Twitter advertising this YouTube channel and basically hyping up the fact that lately, hell of a lot has gone my way. Drew McIntyre's return, I reported. The temporary retirement of the WWE Championship, I reported. Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso, I reported. There's more beyond that. The triple threat between Bianca, Asuka and Charlotte, I reported. Logan Paul versus Ricochet at SummerSlam, I reported. Shayna Baszler versus Ronda Rousey, I reported when Ronda Rousey returned, including the tag team championship reign as well. There's a number of things which I've done recently, which certainly have come to fruition very, very quickly. So, as much as I don't want to be one who toots his own horn, maybe I need to start. Maybe a Twitter thread, each individual tweet being about something that I've recently reported, which has been proven to be factually accurate. Maybe that's worth it. Let's not forget I was the only one to report NXT UK would be shutting down, and I was mauled for it. And this, I feel, is a perfect time to share a little bit of gossip about my career in wrestling media. For those who don't know, I've worked for a number of different wrestling media outlets. PWTorch I currently work for, and it's the first one I ever worked for, Wade Keller. I've also worked for a company called Daily DDT, which is part of Fansided, and I worked for Sportskeeda. Sportskeeda brought me on and essentially paid me to share exclusive news. And they'd come to me, ask me a number of questions, work out what I knew in much the same way as, spoiler warning here, eventually asking me to go live. To go live and share news right there. Now, I left Sportskeeda in September 2020 in a very dark time for me. I'd just been made redundant from my job because of the pandemic and because of the lockdown, and I then lost my other job for Sportskeeda, and I didn't know what the hell to do. I had no money coming in. I was at genuine risk of losing my house. It was a very difficult time, and I haven't really talked about it. But I do want to share a mention because this is something that comes up. One of the reasons that I left and felt I needed to get away from Sportskeeda is someone by the name of Gary Cassidy. Gary Cassidy accused me of trying to get him fired and presented exactly zero proof of this. Literally exactly zero proof of this. But he certainly got a lot of high-profile supporters. For example, Fightful Sean Ross Sapp made sure to retweet quite a lot of his stuff. One of the reasons that he was accusing me of basically making up wrestling reports is that I reported that Drew McIntyre, during an episode of Monday Night Raw, he wrestled Heath Miller, formerly known as Heath Slater. Heath Slater had been released in the build-up to it. Now, I reported at the time that Drew McIntyre had personally contacted Heath Miller to request that Heath Miller return for that match, even though he was in his non-compete clause period. This was later confirmed by Drew McIntyre to be absolutely 100% correct in an interview with Sportskeeda's Gary Cassidy. For some reason, this was reason for Gary Cassidy to go to the management at Sportskeeda and tell them I was guessing, lying and making it up, even though he had just himself confirmed that he was lying about that. This later came to a head when I was accused of essentially having no sources and making it all up, and I didn't exactly get the response from the company that I was expecting. I'll leave it there at this point. I enjoyed my time at Sportskeeda. It is a very different place from when I left, but I am fully aware that they also do not report my news because they believe someone who accused me of being a liar by confirming that I wasn't. Needless to say, I'm having a very, very good time with my own channel. The growth of my own channel has been very, very good. I do pretty well job-wise at the moment, and you guys are a big help to that. Thank you everyone who's watched an ad without skipping it, who's hit like, who's shared, and of course who's subscribed. Anyone who chats, obviously, you're really helping as well. And it's helping the growth of this channel. I got to a point where I simply didn't need a place like Sportskeeda. And I'm never going to again. Never. I'm very happy with where I am. Very happy indeed. So it's a shame. I had a lot of good times at Sportskeeda, but being accused of trying to get someone fired with no evidence and then watching people actually believe that shit, it puts a sour taste in your mouth. Anyway, Dylan says, do you think Cody will probably get the World Heavyweight Championship? Yes, absolutely. Rob says, it appears that the Bloodline segment did a monster number, 3 million viewers. Magnificent. Spider-Boss says, if Becky returns before the Rumble, I think Becky's the one who'll defeat Rhea. She'll be at the Rumble, don't worry. Danny Lewis says, Finn versus Seth for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. That seems to be where they're headed. Danny says, I've already read that one. Razar says, is a Bianca heel turn planned anytime soon? It's certainly been discussed, and there is a lot more heel tendencies right now. We'll see if they actually pull the trigger, because Bianca versus Charlotte is a plan, and it looks like Charlotte is staying a face. Koo says, is Bronson Reed now an afterthought? I was thinking a feud was happening with Nakamura. I do think they basically, kind of forgotten about him. Spider-Boss says, Mercedes, Money News, Drew News, Bray Wyatt's return, and Cody winning the Rumble, all were first reported by Spoiler Warning. Thank you very kindly for the reminder. For those who have watched Spoiler Warning regularly, you're the people I actually care about the opinions of, because you'd know if I didn't get things right. So I appreciate all of you for sticking around, and I really appreciate that. We occasionally get trolls coming in saying, he's making it up. Honestly, thinking they're convincing you, you're here basically week on week. You guys keep track of what I report. Like, you'd know if I got a lot of things wrong, wouldn't you? Surely. And also says, SRS and his fans talked BS about you and I put you over with the Bailey return news last year. Yeah, a lot of people in this chat are blocked by Fightful's Sean Ross Sapp for celebrating that I have reported something before he reports it. I did report just before SummerSlam that Bailey was cleared, ready for action, and they were waiting for the right creative storyline. About a month later, Sean Ross Sapp, behind Fightful Select paywall, reported that Bailey was cleared and was just waiting for the right creative. Spider-Boss, I know you at that point said it was first reported by Tom Colohue, and you didn't exactly get a good response, did you? Joe, thank you for that. Lucha Libre says, Tom shut down all the nonsense that Drew was just going to up and leave. You'd be surprised how many people think he was days away from signing to AEW. Yeah, that was early days. That was very early days, yeah. There is nothing at all to suggest that Drew McIntyre is leaving the WWE. I think it actually does hurt the growth of the channel compared to some of the people who do make stuff up and sensationalize everything, that I spend a lot of time rumor killing. But, like, a lot of people, Michael, for example, I know you joined because I was rumor killing rumors about Sasha Banks. Because it wasn't this massive big thing that everyone seemed to think it was. I just like to be honest about the situation. More often than not, it's pretty chill. Rob says, Tom, did you happen to get to see the Jay White Juice versus FTR tag match from Collision? Switch showed out. Haven't seen it yet. Andy, how you doing, mate? Says, hello, fella. Damien and EO were 100% the right picks for Money in the Bank. Seeing people say that it was an L with it not being LA Knight simply don't know how good Damien is. Plus, LA Knight will now skyrocket. You're absolutely right, Andy. There are too many times when the hot new commodity is the only one everybody wants to push, and they forget about the hot new commodity that they wanted to be pushed a minute ago. Y'all were really big on Damian Priest. Now you're really big on LA Knight. No one's going to be a world champion under this system. You'll push people for 3 months and then you'll move on. No one wins. Also, really nice to see you, mate. Thomas says, hi, Tom. Sorry that I'm late. You're not late, all works. Hope that you had a good Monday. So far, so good. Steven says, Vince McMahon's out of touch. Really doesn't care about trying to push another star in the company like LA Knight, Indy Hartwell, Candice LeRae, that WWE don't have any plans for. He wants to push Damian Priest at the moment. Danny says, who returns at SummerSlam? Will it be Bray Wyatt or Randy Orton? No. Steven says, WWE management... I have no idea what you're saying there, Stephen. Would you be able to clarify for me? Brad says, it's not the type of person you are. Yeah, I certainly would be ashamed to be that type of person. Appreciate that, Dylan. Lucia says, Tom, anyone who thinks you're just making news up, they're giving you a compliment because you get a lot of it right. You're the best news source, Tom. Thank you kindly. Venom says, do you think we could see more cinematic matches as they were fun except Bray versus Cena? No. No. They do not want to do cinematic matches. Yeah, Brad, if I get something wrong, I absolutely put my hand up and say I was wrong. Nobody is infallible. Everybody gets things wrong. But you will find that the vast majority of people in wrestling media at the moment pretend that they didn't get it wrong. They either go quiet or they just say things like plans changed. Plans changed. Yeah, if I'm wrong, I definitely admit it. Joey says, why haven't Candice LeRae, Piper Niven and Tegan been used? Because they don't have creative plans for them at the moment. They're just trying to work out how they can get responses from crowds, basically. Thomas says, I'm blocked by SRS. Quite a few people here are. Lucha said that Tom were making up reports and getting them right almost every time. I'd asked Tom to give me lottery numbers because I would be a millionaire. And he says, for the streams I've watched more than you think, reports have been nothing but true, Tom. As I've been saying, you deserve all the success you get, my man. Very much appreciate that, sir. One of the earliest supporters, because well before I started streaming, we would have chats about wrestling and just sharing opinions, and it was great. Just spending basically half an hour every day chatting shit for the best. It was lovely. Keyshawn, welcome, mate. Says, Drew worked so hard to get to WWE, I don't know why he would leave, especially as a top guy. Luke says, what do you know about Bray Wyatt? And I like to speculate, but it seems a mental health issue to me. At the moment, what I've been reporting, and what I reported, in fact, earlier in this video, about 10 minutes in, is that it is creative, largely, that is causing the issues, and the creative control element that Bray Wyatt has in his contract. Jordan says, keep up the great work in the channel, Tom. You must feel proud. We all wouldn't be here watching if we didn't enjoy it and like you as a person. I feel like a great community growing here. I also am very, very happy about the standard of community that we have here. We work together. We share news and we ensure that we are sourcing. This is the most well-informed chat in wrestling. Not just because of what I'm trying to do, but because of what you guys do as well. So many of you will bring in quotes. I can see, Michael, you do that as well. Bringing in direct quotes with a source, making it very clear where it's coming from and what's being said exactly. We have so many really talented researchers, journalists, and sources right here. Spider-Boss says, personally, I think SRS and Meltzer has a big ego. When people don't give them the credit, they attack people. Sadly, I was attacked by those two. And also says, I think it would take a good effort to make Mercedes money consider a return to the WWE. Michael says, Mercedes seems to be standing on her own power now based on pictures she posted on Instagram. Seems to be a good sign. A very good sign indeed. Spider-Boss says, Mercedes money. Sasha Banks confirmed she took time off in 2019 due to mental health, which is in fact the report that put my name on the map. And I reported that for Sportskeeda way back when, one of my first ones. Vegeta says, Tegan had a match last week, to be fair. She did, indeed. Lucha Libre says, surprised Vince hasn't pushed Jimmy Wang Yang back onto the wrestling scene. Well, he has contacted him at times. Ryan Betson, you alright, mate? Says, hey, Tom. Seeing WWE live shows are popping up again in the UK later this year. When are they going back to Australia? It's been 4 years. There was talk about doing it this year. It seems like they have not got the deal they were looking for. The WWE at this point are essentially trying to make sure that they get pretty hefty pay packages from individual countries to make sure that they turn up there. Australia, from what I can tell, just wasn't willing to pay that at this point in time. Eric says, I'm on the Sean Ross Sapp block list and also the Dave Meltzer block club too. Lucha says, by the way, Tom, I know it was a while back, but I hope you and your family had a great time on vacation. It was the middle of May, so it actually wasn't that long ago. But what I will say is that in the time I went quiet there, certainly I'm very, very, very happy with that week I spent in Paris and with the family. We will be going on holiday again, the four of us, next month, around this time actually. We're only about a month away, so it will go a little bit quieter, but there'll still be plenty of shorts and videos uploaded in that time that you can check out. Razar says, I'll never forget the Saudi bought WWE rumour. A lot of these supposed journalists really showed how clueless they are, all with those eyeball emojis and vague tweets for no reason. Yeah, a lot of that. I remember being the first one to say, yeah, no. And then shortly afterwards, I believe it was Ariel Hawani who said. Sean says he reported about Sasha not going to be on the SmackDown before SummerSlam in 2021. Later on, Becky confirmed it. Also, Triple H confirmed your report about NXT UK. Yep. And I do feel I need to be remembering these things. And yeah, get a thread going on Twitter of things I've accurately reported. Michael says I'm blocked by PWInsider, but that's all. I'm surprised SRS hasn't, with as many times as I've mentioned you. True. So, the shorts have been doing particularly well recently, and a large part of my subscriber growth is down to the shorts. I hope people are still enjoying them. I know when I first started doing the shorts, people were very optimistic and very flattering about them. I hope that is still the feeling, that people are happy with the shorts that I'm putting out there. I'm trying to make it so you get plenty of news in a very short amount of time. So it's less than 60 seconds, and I try and give as much detail as I possibly can. I also try to make them just a little bit more entertaining. But they have been a big help in the growth of the channel. There is a lot of effort from YouTube at the minute in trying to ensure that shorts are still growing and shorts are getting the most attention. So between live streams and shorts, that's where most of my subscribers are coming from at the moment. Now, shorts do not make a lot of money. They basically make nothing. I'll get 1,000 views and I'll make about 3 cents. Literally, 3 cents for 1,000 views. It's not great. But this may be one of the many reasons why you'll have seen me posting a few more videos recently, particularly on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. These tend to make a little more in the ad revenue, and also I can go a little bit more in depth. That's the strategy at the moment. The standard spoiler warning and SmackDown watch parties. Shorts as often as I can do them. I try and make it at least one per day, though I'm not perfect at it. And videos for more in-depth subjects. So that's the strategy, and it does seem to be paying off. I've gained so far 8 subscribers today, which is a very, very happy number. If you have not yet done so and you're watching without having subscribed, please do consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss another show. And also, of course, we currently have 69 likes, which is nice, but one more gets us to 70. So if you haven't done so yet, please remember to hit like. Ryan says, damn, we need to pool our dollary dues. Gotcha, Joe. Dylan says, Tom, I know you said WrestleMania will never be in the UK. Could you see any of the big 4 in the UK? Potentially, yes. I wouldn't be too surprised for Survivor Series. You have also reminded me that this channel was the first to report that WrestleMania would take place behind closed doors in 2020. That was before even SmackDown went no fans. James Jones says, what about a miss about Bray Wyatt running late? I spoke about Bray Wyatt about 10 minutes into the stream. By all means, rewind to the beginning or 10 minutes in and you will hear about Bray Wyatt. It's bookmarked by Orton, Big E, and then afterwards, Alexa Bliss. Just so you know where you are. Luke says, if you've tried multi-streaming on Twitch or even Kick. I'm on Twitch right now, Luke. You can find me on Twitch. Kick, I'm not that invested in. I wouldn't really go for that personally, but I am live on both YouTube and Twitch as we speak. Spider-Boss says, I always see fans on social media saying you come up with your news and then the news that appears on spoiler warning gets confirmed. Yep. They'll see the news, they'll accuse, and then they'll forget. A month ago when I reported about Drew McIntyre's return, I got people laughing and saying, oh, well, he wasn't on Raw, was he? Yeah, I never said he was going to be on Raw. I said he's coming back. I also said at SummerSlam, the creative plan is him versus Gunther. Wait for it. Or watch it. Also an option. I get a little wound up sometimes. Logan Paul versus Ricochet is going to take place at SummerSlam. There is a segment dedicated to that tonight on Raw. Logan Paul has specifically requested to work with Ricochet after a very good reception to their spot at the Royal Rumble. Logan Paul also is looking for a favour to be returned and to get back onto winning ways. Part of his contract, and we will be seeing quite a bit more from him over the next year or so, is that he wants to start getting at least a couple of wins under his belt rather than be picking up the losses that he has recently. I think that's absolutely fine. I can't blame him for that. He has been working pretty hard and getting a lot of people over, as it were. So I'm pretty happy with that overall. Joe says, Tom, would you like me to share the shorts to any WWE fans out there at all? Absolutely. If you're someone who wants to share, by all means share. I thoroughly agree with that. For those who don't know, I'm also on TikTok. You can search TikTok for Tom Colohue, where I also post the shorts, but I have them with the subtitles, so you can actually watch it silently if you'd like. They get a very different fan base, and sometimes they go up to 15,000. So it's pretty handy in that regard, and also is a good way to advertise the YouTube channel, and I do think it's a large part of why the YouTube channel has been growing so well as well. I got you, James. Says, Drew was on my DC radio talking about his injury. Noah says, will Randy possibly cost Brock the match? No. Sean, I'm getting to Becky's injury. It is only 2 pieces of news away. Rocky Winner, how you doing? Says, don't forget about Carlito as well. I did not report on Carlito because I had nothing suggesting it would happen, and it didn't. Welcome, Rocky. How you doing? Io Sky versus Bayley is being planned for after SummerSlam, or indeed a little bit later in the year. The idea seems to be that while they will work together at least briefly, Bayley wants the briefcase, or in fact the championship. Io turning face and breaking away from Damage Control is very much the plan at the moment. There is also a suggestion that when Dakota Kai returns, it could be after Io versus Bayley, meaning that Dakota Kai could potentially be the one to take the championship from Io after she gets it. So we would go from Asuka to Io to Dakota Kai, which is a pretty good place to be for championships in the women's division. I would love that as a combination. Bayley is essentially committed to getting people over. Right now, she definitely wants to get Io over, and she will be doing so. Io Sky will be pinning Bayley before the year is out. Venom said, is LA Knight going to turn face? I spoke about that a little bit earlier. You might want to check that one out. It's not a job, Joe. You can do what you want. You can do what you want. Michael says, will Dakota be tagging with Tegan when she comes back? I've seen that rumoured. To my knowledge, the plan when Dakota comes back is to return to Damage Control. That's what I've heard at the moment. Spider-Boss says, SmackDown Women's Division is fine, while the Raw Women's Division isn't doing well. Very true. Losing Alexa Bliss and Ronda Rousey, not great for that particular division. Grayson Waller is someone that's earning a lot of plaudits backstage in the WWE. The match with Edge, particularly the debut match, is intended to put him in a pretty high spot, and there will be plenty more going forwards. The WWE, particularly Triple H, has been scripting him to be the draw segment because Triple H has massive faith in Grayson Waller. Now, while this does not extend to championships at this point in time, there is talk of, should Jey Uso become the champion, Grayson Waller versus Jey, but Grayson Waller would naturally be picking up the loss there. Grayson Waller lost to Edge. He will go back to the Grayson Waller effect, and he'll be using that going forwards, but he will be working similarly to The Miz, at least for a little while, of picking fights in his talk show, losing matches, until eventually they're ready to start the push, at which point he'll start picking up the wins. Spider-Boss says, for SummerSlam, do you see Liv versus Rhea or Rhea versus Raquel? Personally, I think Rhea versus Raquel is more likely, though Liv Morgan will find a way to be involved. James says, Waller has a bright future. Joey says, is Waller going to have a match at SummerSlam? I don't believe so at this point in time. I did think we were going to see Waller versus Edge at SummerSlam, but we now have already seen it. Noob says, I'd like to see Asuka feuding with Io Sky. It would be an interesting story since they have history. That is planned. Venom says, is Tony D'Angelo looked at as a big deal? It depends who you're talking to. He's not someone that they're considering a big push for at the moment. Finally, I can confirm the report from Fightful Select that Becky Lynch has picked up a minor injury. She is unlikely to be dropping out of SummerSlam. They may drop her out of the match with Zoe Stark or make it some sort of squash in order to protect her. More likely at this point in time, the match goes ahead, but it lasts less than 2 minutes until Trish Stratus starts attacking Becky as well, as they've done previously with Becky versus Bayley in a steel cage. Becky is starting to pick up a couple of small niggling injuries at the moment. It is minor. It is not believed to be anything serious. She will be ready and raring to go before SummerSlam. The match against Trish Stratus will go ahead. Dylan says the Usos have said they'd like to have a match at WrestleMania 40. Do you see that being a potential match next year? Do you mean Uso versus Uso? Because that's not personally what I see happening. it would just be a very difficult match to call unless they really did choose some very different attire. We have reached 72 likes and 291 views. A huge thank you to everyone who is here at the moment, who has checked out the show even briefly. We are finishing at 2,513 subscribers, but if you have not subscribed, please remember to do so. That has been the news, and there's plenty more where that came from in shows to come. I'll be reiterating a lot of this in videos and or shorts in the days to come. I keep a little notepad here, which will give me plenty to talk about. Frankie DeGennaro says, what happened to the rumours about releases prior to Money in the Bank? They were wrong. Frankie, while I've got you, who reported those rumours? Do you remember who reported them? Because it's kind of important. Noah says, will Roman possibly lose the title to Jay? Yes. JJ says, hey Tom, do you know what the injury is, her shoulder or foot? I'm not personally aware, no. I don't have too much information. I've just been told she is injured, but she'll be fine going into SummerSlam. Interesting, Dylan. Very interesting. So does anyone know who was the source for that? I know that WrestleVotes reported there would be releases in July. July hasn't finished yet, so I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt. Fair enough, Frankie says, honestly, I don't. I just remember it was all over Twitter for a couple of days. This is why I always ask about source, because if it's all over Twitter, chances are there isn't a source and it's just people speculating. And I do try and make sure we're the most well-informed chat in wrestling here. So welcome, Frankie. Stick around. Nice to see you again, mate. At this point, Sean says, Natalya said as an SK exclusive, she wants to face Rhea at SummerSlam. What an exclusive. Magnificent. Spider-Boss says, I think Roman retains his title against Jay at SummerSlam thanks to Solo's help. Kieran says, is Dylan talking about the Usos wanting to face each other? It was in the Ariel Helwani interview. Thank you, Kieran. I appreciate that. And Michael has done some digging. Says, all I can see those rumours are from WrestleVotes. WrestleVotes, who were working for Lewis Dangor of Give Me Sport. I think that's all I need to say. Joey says, do you think Solo will be the one to dethrone Roman? Not necessarily dethrone him for the championship, but there is one more thing that Roman has that Solo wants. We've hit 300 views, and I am going to call it there. We've gone over by 17 minutes, but honestly, on a Monday, that's absolutely fine, and I quite enjoy going over a little bit. Thank you to all of you for being here. Thank you to all of you for keeping me company. I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic, and I will see you all very soon.